Hey Reddit, buckle up because this is going to be a wild ride, and I'm spilling it all from my side as the wife who's been through the ringer with infidelity in our marriage. But trust me, it's not your typical story of a cheating spouse and a heartbroken partner. There are layers here that even I do. We've been married for about 8 years now, living in a mid sized city in the Midwest where the winters are brutal and summers feel like you're baking in an oven. But it's home, you know? I work in marketing for a tech company, the kind where we're always chasing the next big campaign, and he has a job in finance, crunching numbers for some investment firm that keeps him glued to his screens late into the night. Our life started out pretty standard. We met in college, dated for a couple years, got engaged during a spontaneous road trip to the mountains, and tied the knot in a small ceremony with just family and close friends. No drama back then, just that easy compatibility where we could binge, watch shows, or hike without forcing conversations. But over time, things shifted subtly, like how the foundation of a house settles, and you don't notice the cracks until there's spiderwebbing across the walls. It began with the little things. He'd come home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine, but I'd brush it off as maybe a colleague's hug or something innocent. Or his phone would buzz at odd hours, and he'd flip it face down quicker than usual, saying it was work emails. I wasn't the jealous type. At least, I didn't think I was. But after a while, those doubts started piling up like unread messages. One evening, after a particularly long day where I nailed a presentation but felt exhausted, I came home to find him already there, which was rare since he usually worked late. The house smelled like takeout from our favorite Thai place, and he had candles lit, which was sweet but out of character. We ate, talked about our days, and things felt normal. But as we were cleaning up, his phone lit up on the counter with a text that said, "Can't wait for tomorrow." No name, just a number. My heart skipped, but I played it cool, asking casually who it was. He said it was a client confirming a meeting, but something in his eyes flickered, like he was recalibrating a lie on the fly. That night, I couldn't sleep, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily, wondering if I was overreacting or if this was the start of something bigger. The next day, I decided to dig a little, nothing crazy, just checking his browser history when he was in the shower. And there it was, searches for romantic getaways, but not with me in mind, or so it seemed. Hotels in nearby cities, flower delivery services, even lingerie sites. My stomach dropped. Was he planning something for us? Our anniversary was months away, or was it for someone else? I confronted him that evening over dinner, keeping my voice steady, saying I'd seen the searches and asked what was up. He laughed it off at first, saying he was just browsing for ideas to surprise me, but his explanation felt rehearsed, like he'd anticipated the question. We argued a bit. He accused me of not trusting him, and I fired back that trust is earned, especially when things don't add up. We made up that night, physically at least, but emotionally, a seed of doubt had taken root. Over the following weeks, the suspicions grew. He'd take longer lunches, come home with receipts for coffee shops I knew he didn't frequent, and once, I found a lipstick stain on his collar that was a shade I never wore. I started tracking his patterns, noting when he left for work, when he returned, even peeking at his calendar app when he left his laptop open. It felt invasive, but desperation does that to you. One afternoon, while working from home, I got a call from an unknown number, a woman's voice, soft and hesitant, asking if I was his wife. I hired a private investigator. Yeah, I went there, found one online with good reviews, paid the retainer, and gave him the basics: follow my husband, report back on anything suspicious. It cost a chunk of my savings, but peace of mind. The PI tailed him for a week and sent me photos. My husband meeting a woman at a park bench, them hugging, then heading to a cafe where they sat close, laughing. She was younger, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater with long hair tied back. Not the bombshell type you'd expect in a cliché affair, just normal. The report detailed their routine, twice a week, same spots, no hotels yet, but the intimacy was clear. I felt sick, betrayed, but also angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. That night, I waited for him to come home. Evidence printed out and laid on the kitchen table like a prosecutor's case. When he walked in, whistling some tune, he froze seeing the photos. "What is this?" he asked, voice low. I exploded, years of built-up frustration pouring out, accusing him of cheating, of destroying our marriage. He denied it at first, saying she was just a friend from work, but the lies crumbled under the weight of the evidence. Finally, he admitted it. They'd been seeing each other for months, emotionally at first, then physically. But here's the twist. He swore it wasn't about sex primarily, it was about feeling alive again, something our routine had dulled. We screamed, cried, and by dawn he was packing a bag to stay at a hotel. I was left alone in our house, the silence deafening, wondering how we'd gotten here. Reddit, if part 1 left you hanging, wait till you hear how this escalated because nothing prepared me for the fallout or the secrets that started spilling out like a dam breaking after years of pressure. After he left that night, I spent the next few days in a haze, calling out sick from work, bingy eating ice cream while scrolling through old photos of us on my phone, alternating between rage and sobbing into pillows that still smelled like him. The house felt too big, too empty, with his side of the closet half bare, and his favorite mug sitting untouched on the shelf. Friends reached out, but I kept it vague, saying we were taking a break, not ready to air the dirty laundry yet. But inside, I was plotting, not revenge exactly, but survival. I changed the locks first thing, hired a lawyer to look into separation options, and started therapy because, let's face it, this mess was twisting my mind. The therapist was this no-nonsense woman in her 50s, video sessions from her home office, and she didn't sugarcoat. Infidelity is a symptom, not the disease. What's the underlying issue in your marriage? I thought about it. Our sex life had dwindled to obligatory once. A month encounters, conversations revolved around bills and groceries and date nights. Forgotten relics. But was that justification? Hell no. Meanwhile, he was blowing up my phone with apologies, promises to end it with her, begging for counseling. I ignored most, but curiosity got me. Who was this woman? Using the PI's info, I found her on social media, mid-30s, single mom, worked in HR at a different company, posts about her kids' soccer games and wine nights with friends. Harmless on the surface, but she was the wrecking ball in my life. One evening, fueled by a glass too many of Cabernet, I messaged her, "I know about you and my husband. We need to talk." To my surprise, she replied almost immediately, "I'm so sorry. Can we meet?" We arranged a coffee shop rendezvous the next day, neutral ground, public, safe. I arrived early, heart pounding, spotting her at a corner table nursing a latte. Up close, she looked tired, eyes rimmed red like she'd been crying. We exchanged awkward hellos, and she jumped right in. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We met at a networking event, bonded over work stress, and one thing led to another. I asked why him, why now? She said he portrayed our marriage as loveless, him as the victim trapped in routine. Bullshit, I thought, but part of it rang true. Then the bombshell, she was pregnant. With his child, my world tilted. "Does he know?" I whispered. She nodded, saying he'd freaked out, promised to leave me for her, but now he was backpedaling. I left that meeting numb, driving home in a fog, pulling over once to vomit on the roadside. Our marriage wasn't just broken, it was obliterated. That night, I confronted him over the phone. He admitted it, sobbing, saying it was a mistake, that he'd support her but wanted to fix us. Fix us? With a child on the way? I hung up, blocked him, and dove into research. Divorce laws in our state, asset division, alimony. But here's where it gets twisty. While sorting through our joint accounts, I found discrepancies. Withdrawals I didn't recognize, transfers to an unknown account. Digging deeper, using our shared banking app, I traced it to a savings account in his name only, with thousands stashed away. Was he planning to leave me long before this, or funding his affair? I hired a forensic accountant, pricey but necessary, and the report came back. He'd been siphoning money for over a year, small amounts to avoid detection, totaling nearly 50K. But for what? Not just the affair, there were payments to a real estate agent. Turns out he put a down payment on a condo in a suburb nearby, title in his name. Was this his escape plan? With her? He showed up at the house days later, pleading, but I had the police escort him out. Therapy helped unpack it. I wasn't just angry at him, I was grieving the life I thought we had. But in those sessions, memories surfaced. Times I'd felt lonely too, flirting with a coworker at a conference last year. Nothing physical, but close. Had I contributed to the drift? Maybe, but that didn't excuse him. As months passed, the divorce proceedings dragged. Mediation sessions where we'd sit across from each other, lawyers flanking us like bodyguards, hashing out who gets the house, me? Then, unexpected turn, she miscarried. He called me in tears, but I felt a twisted relief mixed with guilt. She ghosted him after cutting ties. Suddenly he was alone, begging for reconciliation. I considered it briefly. Old habits die hard, but no. I was rebuilding, new hobbies like yoga classes at the local gym, reconnecting with friends, even dipping toes into dating apps, though nothing serious. Life was raw, but mine again. All right, Reddit. If you thought the pregnancy bombshell was the peak, hold on because part 3 dives into the undercurrents I never suspected, turning this from a standard affair tale into a web of deceptions that had me questioning everything, including my own sanity. Post-separation, I threw myself into work, landing a promotion that meant more travel, conferences in coastal cities, networking events that kept me busy and distracted. The house, now fully mine after the settlement, felt like a sanctuary. I redecorated, painted walls in soothing blues, adopted a cat to keep the dog company. But echoes of him lingered, random mail in his name, photos I'd forgotten to delete. One weekend, sorting the attic for a garage sale, I found a box of old documents, tax returns, but buried beneath was a folder labeled personal. Inside, letters. Handwritten, dated back years from a woman, not the affair partner, someone else. My hands shook as I read, affectionate words, references to secret meetings, even a photo of her, older, elegant. Who was she? The postmarks were from a state out west. Had he been cheating longer than I knew? The letters stopped around our wedding date, but one final one congratulated him on the marriage, wistfully. Was this an ex or ongoing? I obsessed, cross, referencing dates with our lifetimes he traveled for work matching the letters' timelines. Then a receipt slipped out for a ring not my engagement one. What the hell? I confronted him via email, neutral, demanding answers. He replied quickly she was his high school sweetheart, reconnected briefly before our wedding, but it ended. The ring? A promise ring from back then, kept as a memento. Plausible, but trust was shattered. Digging online, I found her profile, married now kids, living happily, harmless history? Maybe, but it planted doubt. Was our marriage built on lies from day one? Therapy delved deeper. Perhaps his pattern of seeking external validation stemmed from childhood issues, but that was his problem, not mine. Meanwhile, I started dating casually, a guy from the gym, tall with a kind smile, dinners that felt light after years of tension. Nothing serious, but it boosted my confidence. Then the plot twisted again at a work event. I ran into his former colleague, chatty after a few drinks. Sorry about the split, he said, then dropped. But hey, at least you dodged that bullet with the gambling. Gambling? What? He elaborated. My husband had a poker habit, lost big at underground games, borrowed from coworkers to cover. That explained the siphon money, not just for the affair or condo, but debts. The condo, a desperate investment to flip for cash. I verified with the accountant, yes, traces of transfers to known gambling sites. Rage renewed. He'd risked our future on cards? I amended the divorce filings for full disclosure, squeezing more assets. He fought back, accusing me of vindictiveness, but the judge sided with me. Amid this, another surprise. The affair partner reached out again, not pregnant after all. False positive, but she'd used it to test his commitment. Manipulative? Absolutely. She apologized, saying she'd been played too. We bonded over coffee, sharing stories, realizing he was the common denominator of deceit. It was cathartic, turning an enemy into an ally. As the divorce finalized, I felt free, but lonely nights crept in. Enter the gym guy. We grew closer, shared vulnerabilities. One night after a movie, we kissed. Fireworks, unlike the routine with my ex. But twist, he confessed he'd been married before, divorced due to his own infidelity. Red flag? Or honesty? I paused, reflecting on patterns. Therapy warned against rebounding, so I slowed things. Life stabilized, new routines. Travel for work taking me to vibrant cities, where I'd explore alone, finding joy in independence. But one trip, in a bustling East Coast hub, I spotted him, my ex arm in arm with yet another woman at a restaurant. Spying from afar, they seemed cozy. Jealousy flared briefly, then pity. He hadn't changed. Back home, I focused on me, joined a boat club, volunteered at animal shelters, even took cooking classes. Fulfillment came from within, not a partner. Yet, the biggest turn? Discovering my own capacity for growth. I wasn't the victim. I was the survivor rewriting my story. Reddit fam, as we hit part 4, things get even more layered because, just when I thought I was out of the woods, life threw curveballs that forced me to confront not just his betrayals, but my own hidden truths, leading to revelations that flipped the narrative on its head. Post-divorce, with the ink barely dry, I embraced single life like a rebirth. Weekends hiking in nearby state parks, evenings with friends at breweries, savoring the freedom of no compromises. Work thrived. I led a major campaign that went viral, earning kudos and a bonus. The gym guy. We dated steadily, impatient with my baggage, sharing laughs over shared meals. But doubts lingered. His past cheating made me wary, installing tracking apps on my phone out of habit, which felt hypocritical. One night, after our argument about boundaries, I admitted my surveillance tendencies. He understood, but it highlighted my trust issues. Therapy intensified, unpacking how the marriage eroded my self-worth, turning me vigilant. Meanwhile, my ex faded sporadic emails about logistics, but no drama. Until a letter arrived from his mother, whom I'd stayed cordial with. She apologized for him, but slipped in. He always struggled with commitment, even as a kid. Vague, but it prompted me to revisit those old letters. Researching his high school sweetheart online, I found forum posts from years ago, anonymous, but details matched. Stories of a guy who juggled multiple girls, leaving heartbreak. Was he a serial cheater? Patterns emerged. Then a colleague mentioned seeing him on a dating app, profile boasting recently single looking for fun. Predictable. But here's the pivot. During a work trip to the South, I met someone. A charismatic vendor at the conference, sparks flying over panel discussions. We grabbed drinks, talked till closing, and I cheated on the gym guy. One night, hotel room, regret immediate. Hypocrite much? I confessed upon return. He forgave. But the damage was done. We split amicably. Alone again, guilt gnawed. Was I becoming what I despised? Therapy revealed infidelity as a coping mechanism, seeking validation post-trauma. I vowed change, celibacy for months, focusing on self. One member, a guy in his 40s, became a friend, platonic coffees turning deep. No romance, just connection. Twist, he was a therapist himself, offering insights gratis. Life hummed, adopted another pet, remodeled the kitchen, traveled solo to national parks. But financial hiccup, ex missed alimony payments. Lawyer chased, turns out he'd lost his job, gambling debts mounting. Pity mixed with schadenfreude. He reached out, desperate, asking for a loan. I refused, but suggested rehab programs. Surprisingly, he enrolled. Updates via his mom showing progress. Redemption arc? Maybe. Meanwhile, I explored hobbies, photography classes, capturing cityscapes at dawn. One exhibit, my photos displayed locally, pride swelled. There, I met a woman, artist type, vibrant. We clicked, but platonically. No, bisexual curiosity I'd buried surfaced. Dates followed, museums, picnics, gentle, exciting. Was this me? Authentic self-emerging post-marriage? Yes, But turn, ex completed rehab, wanted closure meeting. We met at a park neutral. He looked healthier, apologized sincerely, no excuses. Shared his side, childhood abandonment fueling fears, leading to sabotage. We forgave, not reconciled, but peaceful. I moved on, relationship with the artist, deepening, honest, passionate. Life's irony, his infidelity freed me to find true self. Wrapping this saga, Reddit, Part 5 brings it full circle with twists that redefined everything, proving life's not a straight line, but a maze of surprises where betrayal birthed unexpected growth. Settled with the artist, our life blended seamlessly, her studio in the garage, joint adventures to art fairs across states. Work balanced, I scaled back travel, mentoring juniors. X, he rebuilt, new job, therapy ongoing, even dating healthily. We'd nod at mutual events, no bitterness. But revelation, sorting final papers, I found a journal, mine, from early marriage. Entries confessed emotional affairs, confiding in a coworker, flirtations bordering intimate. Had I cheated first, subtly? Memory flooded, yes, his affair, I'd kissed that coworker at a party, guilt buried. Hypocrisy hit hard. Therapy dissected, mutual drift, both culpable. I confessed to my partner she understood, strengthening us. Final twist, ex remarried to his rehab sponsor's stable life. At their wedding, invited politely, I felt closure. Our story. Not villain victim, but humans erring, learning. Now, thriving in authenticity, grateful for the chaos that led here.